There
I,
we are.
I'm Dan Carlson, a portion of the Lost Blokes. I'm joined by other portions of the Lost Blokes. If those portions would like to introduce themselves.
I think that can be arranged. Hi, I am Dave Nesbitt, and I am a lost bloke. Um, and yeah, hey, I put out a book this week. Hopefully, I'll have a copy to show off at some point.
Well, John has a copy.
Yeah, I've got a copy.
I
Why don't I go and grab it?
why don't you do
Cool, that
that?
would be wonderful.
I'll introduce myself.
Yes, that'd be awesome. The John, the guy who has a copy of my book. Oh wait, no. Go ahead. Sorry.
My name's John.
Don't interrupt, Dave. Go ahead, John.
My name's John.
Oi, mister! You me dad?
Hey, what's that blue thing
What blue thing?
on your background there? There's a little blue thing.
Little piece of tape.
Oh,
Oh,
It was
okay.
it was a marker it was a positioning marker for something I was doing.
okay. Go
All right,
go
I'll
ahead.
be right back.
Yep. John's gonna go get Dave's book. He's
Oh,
gonna go.
yay.
He's gonna go away. He's gonna come back. He's gonna have Dave's book. Dave, talk about your book.
So I wrote a book that I basically refer to as a superhero story for people who don't like superhero stories.
Yes.
About a young man who, among others, finds himself getting superpowers and how he's kind of like dealing with a circumstance where suddenly he has power and people really, really want to use his abilities. And so currently he's working for the government. Things get a little bit weird. There's a big fucking superhero fight in the middle of Ottawa.
It's a Canadian superhero story.
Yeah, partially Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a few other superhero battles. We have a bunch of right-wing pains in the ass whose favorite pastime is wrecking stuff and ruining things for people. And yeah, it's basically I am enjoying sitting down and writing out these characters. So hopefully people are enjoying sitting down and reading them.
I enjoyed it.
You can find my book, Dave Nesbitt's Evolution, Stage 2 Adaptation, on Amazon. Please buy copies of my book because Dan's getting a percentage. So
Physical copies, $9.99, and then the
Yep.
Kindle direct copy is how much?
$4.99.
Ah, yes. There's the book. Show us the back there, John. Ah,
Yay!
hey, there. Who's that guy in the corner there?
Oh yeah, the one up in the top corner. That guy looks kind of familiar. I
Dr.
think
Zodiac.
Yeah. Why don't you read the back of the back blurb for us there, John?
It's been a year since the creation of the ones they call the Touched. Ryan Larkin can fly. Ryan Larkin can fight. But that will only get him so far. Even surrounded by heroes, he's outnumbered. Even with his powers, like few on Earth, he is overwhelmed. And new threats are born. He will have to reach into himself in ways he never has. And he still has a kid's party at 7.
Hold that up for me for a moment.
What?
Hold that up for me. Closer. Yeah, it says as new threats, not and new threats.
Oh, okay.
I was
For a second there, I thought
scared
yeah, for a second there, I thought I
Whoa.
left another fucking typo in it.
Oh boy.
This became a running gag for a while. Like I was literally having fun because Dan wrote the back blurb for the book. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And as he was like, as I was putting up the blurb, he's like, "No, change this. No, change that. Change this." I'm like, and literally, I'm at the point of almost like literally typing out in all caps the screaming that I would be doing at him at this point.
Oh, you did. I learned several swear words about during the sculpting of this book that I didn't know existed, but it was good.
I invented a few. You really brought out the best of me as a creative person in that set of circumstances, and I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So yeah, run on over there and support Dave's book and me because I get a small percentage.
Yep, and
And
we should also pimp this out on the Lost Blokes and
Shutter Club.
Shutter Club. My God, my brain and I are not in the best of
Well,
talking
we'll
modes.
be doing that because this is our main reason for being here today is horror related.
Yes.
We are reviewing Children Shouldn't Play with. Here's how it looks right side up, and John's showing you what it looks like upside down.
Oh, I was
Because
wondering
Yay!
why. I was wondering why they look different.
some collectors
Yeah.
like to look at the movie upside down, I guess, John. So
Yep.
It's a little
Uh,
kinky, but you know, you do what you do.
this is the 50th anniversary edition put out by VCI Entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah. It's,
Um,
By the way, I think they did a great job with.
They did, and a cool thing that they don't usually do on these packages that they did on this one is they credited the 4K color grade by Will Mosley, the authoring by Ryan Masciola, the original cover oil painting, and I think that's this by Simon Pritchard, and yeah, so they actually went to the trouble of crediting the people who did the work on the disc.
yeah. And those people who did the work did fantastic. The print transfer was
Oh, yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah.
The booklet inside of there and all of the extras they put in on that disc were just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're starting with a film that definitely suffered from some lighting and camera placement issues, but they did a really good job of being able to do a transfer in such a way that it kind of played up the positive and played down the negative at the same time, which I thought was really cool because there are some films that, especially from the 60s and 70s, that die a slow death in 4K. So,
Well,
Yeah.
a $50,000 budget doesn't really lend itself to looking like the Tree of Life, but it does look pretty good for what
No,
they did
Dan,
had to work with.
yeah,
I
film
think-
stock alone for 35 millimeter could cost you $50,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your front cover is different than mine though.
Um,
On the actual disc.
I believe it's a flip cover. So if you look on the inside, it looks the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I flipped mine as well.
Okay. Yeah, it does have a reversible cover, I believe, doesn't it?
Yeah, how cool is that? So I've not seen this kind of thing before, but this is how it's packaged. And then there's an alternate cover on the other side.
Well, John isn't well versed in this sort of thing then, because this is a common practice with a lot of the boutique labels now. Scream Factory's been doing it for a while.
Well,
Yeah, but I think
it's really neat.
I think that it's one of those, especially as we get more and more into the streaming age, one of the things that I'm enjoying is that a lot of companies are now taking the opportunity to pick up niche films and do stuff with them. And knowing that there's an audience for people who are like, yeah, the streaming is okay, but I want all the goodies. I want all the extras. And VCI did a fucking great job this time around.
Yeah, they
did.
really did.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with it.
Does
Watching-
anybody?
watching the Q&A in the specials, I was getting a smile because it's just shot on somebody's camcorder, but it was fun to see all the people from the film hanging out at the New Beverly, which is owned by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. You're confusing me, John. Now I have less than 2 minutes because you didn't let me start at the beginning.
And
So
you
I'm-
even have more less than 2 minutes because you
We're still
explained
talking.
that.
You're still
So-
bitching about it. Go.
So Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is an early 70s movie by director Bob Clark. You know him as the director of A Christmas Story, Porky's, and even Baby Geniuses. He also made a couple other horror movies. Deranged, he produced, and that's the Ed Gein movie. And he also made Death Dream. This is his first movie, and it's the least polished, but it's still got a lot of charm. It's about a group of theater kids, college kids who go off to this cabin on a Florida island, and they are kind of bullied by the director into raising the dead and
Like you do.
taking corpses back to the cabin and being weird with them.
Yeah, marrying a
Yes, there's a
corpse.
there's a marriage, there's a corpse marriage scene,
Yeah,
and by the end, a bunch of zombies come up out of the ground and attack.
it's
There's
all fun and games until the dead start walking on their own.
the lead character Alan has the strangest looking pair of pants in the history of film, and I kind of want I kind of want to go out and get a pair like that.
This is true. Yeah.
And it's a really clever little fun movie. A lot of a lot of flaws are showing, but it's got a real fun homemade kind of feel to it and very drive-in. You can definitely tell that the my dad didn't win the scratch off.
It's kind of, you can tell that they had some fun with the George Romero Night of the Living Dead thing,
Mhm.
and it's a part of the continuation of what would become kind of like the new culture of zombies that would happen in horror. Um, but to me, that's kind of what makes it cool. I mean, it's a part of a. You can see the chain of events happening because it starts with Night of the Living Dead, and then people are experimenting out with it, and then it kind of continues on. And you can also kind of get a feel for what would become kind of like, I wouldn't say like Bob Clark is a very transparent director. You don't get a lot of Bob Clark style,
There's
but
style there, but you don't. It's not apparent. It's not readily apparent. Yeah.
yeah, but if I mean, when you take a look at a guy who did this film, Black Christmas, A Christmas Story, and Porky's, you're talking about a person who actually has a genuine versatility to what he does.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really, crowd the film with an awful lot of, Bob Clark shots. He makes the shots fit the story in the film. And it's something I really enjoy watching in his stuff, and you can really see it in the beginning of it here.
So,
Yeah,
John, what were your impressions?
it was I okay, so I thought the story was good. I think that the premise was something that was, cool. It made me think of shit that the wargamers would have done back in the day. Um
No
if we
comment.
had, a cabin in the woods to do that with. Um
And a
and
book of satanic spells and stuff.
well, we had that. I
Shh.
mean, oh,
So,
Yeah.
one question is
but
it
I guess what I'm getting at is I love the idea of the movie, and the only part that really that I had a problem with was the acting. It was severely overacted and not skillfully. Um so
The
I
director's having, I
understand
mean,
it's
sorry,
I I
I'm sorry.
understand it's like a passion project and a film. And I'm not saying I could do any better as far as that goes. I mean, you do with what you can. But like the main characters way overly acted narcissist character.
that was the
Um
best part of the movie?
yeah, see, okay, and don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying it's a shitty movie. Don't watch it. What I'm saying is, if you're watching it, like at a film festival or at a drive-in, or even in your backyard with the projector going or something like that, with a bunch of friends, this would be a really fun, engaging film to sit through with them, and throw some popcorn around and whatnot. But I mean, as a serious film, I can't put it up with serious horror movies. It's kind of like the original Dunwich Horror with Doris. Was it Doris Day? No,
Mhm.
Sandra Dee. Um, where the acting was just way above the
Well, these are
over the top,
well,
but it was
Bob.
still a good movie.
Well, Bob Clark and all of the actors in the movie were all community theater troupe who were like doing Shakespeare and stuff like that. And he wrote plays for them and everything. And he wrote this movie in 10 days. They had 10 days to learn all their lines, and there's a lot of dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I I never looked at the acting and said this is bad acting. I said, oh, this is community theater acting. This is like if you went, to see a local play. It's not. It's not film acting. It's more
No,
of play acting.
right.
So,
Yeah.
and it's their first foray in front of the camera. So obviously they're probably going to draw on what they've done before. It's
Right.
a little more than what we usually expect in film acting, but
Yeah.
it didn't bother me. In fact, that's one of the charms of it, I think.
I mean, like I said, in the right venue, in the right setting, yeah, I agree. Like this would have been a movie that would have been really, really awesome for all three of us to sit down and watch on a big screen or
Oh yeah.
an outdoor cinema kind of situation. The three of us would have had a lot of fun watching this together.
If you are going to project it outside, make sure you do it when it's really dark out, because the first reel, regardless of how good you are at remastering a movie, was very low lit, and I had to actually turn the lights off in my room to be able to see what was going on for some small portions of it.
I mean, it's a film. You go into this knowing that it's a beer and pretzels movie. I'm not going to ascribe it anything greater than what it is, but it was the start of a really big career. And also, let's face it, this was, I have a fondness and a love for grade B and grade Z horror films, and a lot of respect for the people who can pull it off, because $50,000 in the 70s was still not a lot of money to do a film. And anybody who's tried to get one done, or anybody who's ever had the experience of trying to do post production on a film, can tell you just how much fun there can be, or how much chaos there can be when you're trying to do it.
And it was a regional movie, so they made it in Florida. So I kind of like that it feels, like it feels kind of seat of your pants regional instead
Yeah.
of,
See, if you're gonna film something scary or spooky, the South is definitely a good place to do it. Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, all of those areas that have swamp and those trees with the shit hanging out of it, and all that kind of stuff.
banana
That
trees.
is our new technical. That is our new technical term. Those trees with like the shit hanging out of them, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Right.
This review brought to you by.
Yeah, this movie
Tree.
brought to you by the shit hanging out of the trees.
I love the extras. There's a feature-length documentary on the first disc with called "Dreaming of Death," I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because
it's
he also did.
yeah, he did
Sorry.
Death Dream. But the main host in that is Chris Alexander, the former editor of Fangoria. He's also a filmmaker now, and I'm jealous of his house layout because he's got a jukebox and everything, cool posters. But the whole time he's talking about the other films that Bob Clark made. He made 3 horror movies. He made Black Christmas, which pretty much invented the modern slasher film,
True.
even before Halloween, because it's got the POV shots, the holiday theme, and the slasher killings. It's so he pretty much invented the slasher film, reinvented the Christmas movie, reinvented the sex comedy, um, all in the short years that he was alive. He died in I think 2007 in a car accident with his child.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he made he did a lot in that short time, and it's just interesting to see him come from these very small roots, almost like John Waters or H.G. Lewis level, and then rise up to having big box office hits.
Yeah,
Including
I mean,
Baby Geniuses too.
yeah, those Baby Genius movies, they can all burn in hell.
Oh,
I really hate those.
Tell us how you really feel, John.
hey, people got to pay the bills sometimes.
Oh my God.
Look, let's be perfectly honest. That many of us are going to be in a circumstance where, or we could be fortunate enough to be in a circumstance to go, you want me to work with what? Oh, hello, check.
Yeah.
There are plenty of times where the people I actually have like a lot of respect for in Hollywood are the ones who will sit there and literally during a press run interview will go, yeah, it was a paycheck movie.
Yeah, the
and be
commentary.
flat honest.
Yeah, the commentary track on this is really fun. It's all the actors kind of having a blast reuniting.
Yep, sitting around
Um,
there reminiscing and like riffing on one another.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
there's a 20-minute interview with Alan that was done on Zoom. The sound isn't very good, but there's subtitles, and it's definitely worth checking out. It's very well packaged. This is almost like, I wouldn't call it a film school in a box, but it's definitely, you know, um, it definitely makes you feel like there's more to this than this little zombie movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which is, to credit VCI, they made a very big production out of a very small film,
oh,
and
that's what they do.
Yeah.
and they did it very well.
Well, some of this I think was on a previous Blu-ray release and was ported over, but some of it's new, and the transfer is new. It's definitely so it's I would call this the definitive version of this the definitive release of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they've covered an insane amount of ground between the photos in the booklet and all of the extras and the transfer, and also dropping in, a much higher resolution.
Mhm.
I couldn't run that disc. I'm kind of looking forward to going over to the university and borrowing one of their machines to do it.
Mm.
Um, but I'm really I'm really psyched to see what else they might do, because they're treating they're treating early works by certain directors and artists with a lot of respect, and I've got nothing but love for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always a good thing.
Mhm.
You can pick the new 4K up at their website, VCI Entertainment. It's distributed by MVD, who puts out a lot of these things. This is a PG rated horror movie. Although, is it bloody at all? There's a little bit of blood, isn't there?
Yeah, there's
No, I mean,
It's the only PG rated movie that sort of has a necrophilia scene.
oh my God.
Well, it hints at it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been watching this company since the '90s or the '80s when they
mhm,
were United Home Entertainment, and they were putting out things like Tom Savini as the Ripper and Blood Cult. So
yeah.
they've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that one of the things that I really enjoyed, um, or that I thought was, I liked it. The very end scene before credits, where the zombies are all kind of just wandering around that little dock area and
Yeah,
stuff.
didn't that
Very modern zombie apocalypse type of feel to it.
made me think of Lucio Fulci's Zombie, where the zombies are on that on the bridge
Yeah.
heading toward New York at the
Yeah.
Oh
end.
yeah.
Yep. So I
There's a
almost
sense
feel,
of this is far from over. Yeah.
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 There was talk of a sequel. They were going to call it "We Warned You, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things,"
That would have
but
been great.
it
Oh
never
yeah.
materialized. There's some radio spots on here too. The vinyl copy resides in the collection of this guy called Quentin Tarantino,
Hmm.
but they he or they were very kind to include that in there as well, and they're really funny and worth checking out. Any final thoughts, anybody, on this?
It was a drive-in movie.
Yeah.
I say
It's
press play on it.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, if you're looking for like an origin kind of film, that kind of shows you where a director came from, or where a writer came from, it's definitely worth watching, and it's fun. I'll say that. Just I just the acting was overdone, but like you said, community theater kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, press play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much press play on this, but this is definitely something for those of us who are the hardcore horror fan, who love grade B and grade Z films, and kind of want to see the work of somebody who would later go on to do stuff that none of us ever would have anticipated.
Like
Also,
Rhinestone.
Yeah, like Rhinestone. Who would have thought that this guy would go on to direct Dolly Parton and fucking Sylvester Stallone
Right.
in a film about making Sylvester Stallone a country star? I mean, how did that not get all the fucking Oscars? I don't know. But
It's a hated movie, but I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
again, you got to walk into it knowing what you're getting. But in this case, I'm going to say children shouldn't play with dead things. If you're a horror fan, this is something that you should definitely have in your collection. If for no other reason, you can kind of see, like I said, the beginning of what Bob Clark would become as a horror director, and you also see an awful lot of what would become of the beginning of the expansion of the zombie genre. And it's also just a neat little time capsule of that era. And I think that's something that's VCI definitely got their hands on and made work remarkably well with the packaging.
and I feel like I don't know. I don't want to say this is the first movie to show zombies coming out of their graves, but it might be modern zombies anyway.
Yeah.
Almost the way it's almost lit like the Michael Jackson Thriller video in some spots. I dug it. I liked the low key, cast, and it kind of reminded me of. It's nowhere near. It's not sleazy in any way, but it kind of reminded me of Bloodsucking Freaks, that level of budget and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's my speed. So this is a 70s grindhouse movie is my speed. So
yeah,
when I talk about, I can't really give it sleazy approval. Well, you know what? I am going to give it sleazy approval because he lays down in the coffin with the corpse after marrying it.
Yeah.
Sits and talks to it for a while.
It's a little weird, yeah.
So yeah, sleazy approved. Press play, definitely worth checking out. You can buy it at VCI's website. You also might want to check out. This is a website that has nothing to do with us, but I'm a big fan of theirs. Grindhouse Video. It's a video store and that also functions as an online retailer, and they sell all sorts of cool collectibles. And that's how I found out about this movie.
And support the nice folks at VCI who are basically doing God's work here.
Yeah. We should throw out a disclaimer that VCI did provide us with screener copies of the movies. They did not sponsor the episode, but they did provide us with screeners as a disclaimer. But that is not why we're saying nice things about them, although we do certainly appreciate it. We just really, really like the work they're doing.